Well, everyone in Cleveland is going bananas right now because they just got themselves some major value. Notre Dame linebacker Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, a potential day one starter, and you get him with the 52nd overall pick as Cleveland trades up. The kid nicknamed Jock won the Butkus Award as the nation's best linebacker this past season. Certainly a need for Cleveland targeting the linebacking core. But, man, this kid could step in day one and get going with that defense. All right, let's welcome Pete Prisco and Brady Quinn. And Brady, the Browns getting Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Your reaction, the grade here's got to be high considering the value getting him this late, 52nd overall.
Love it, love it, love it. I mean, they've really gotten two starters with their picks in Greg Newsome as well as Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. And here's the reality for the Cleveland Browns. As big of a step as they took offensively last year with their additions, the way they ran the football, Baker Mayfield's efficiency, if they want to win a Super Bowl, it's the defense that has to take that next big step. These are two picks that I think helps get them in the right direction. As you touched on there, great value. Obviously, you look at Owusu-Koramoah in the film. You know, he's more of that hybrid linebacker type that I think in today's game is perfect because he can play well against the run. He can rush off the edge, but he also has coverage skills to match up versus tight ends, running backs out of the backfield, and even dropping into zone coverage. So he can wear a bunch of different hats on your defense, and now you've got some cornerbacks, obviously with Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and Greedy Williams that can cover. And you've got one of those guys that I guess, Pete, I'll call him a chess piece, if you will. You can move around and ask him to do a bunch of different things at a high level.
Well, I just got to let the audience know that before we went on, Brady had to dab his eyes a little bit because the Notre Dame guy got picked by the Cleveland Browns. It brought back a lot of memories. This is a good pick. This is a good football player. There was talk of him being in the first round. There was talk of the Browns taking him in the first round. My only concern here is they've drafted linebackers in the third round a couple of years in a row. Taki went in the third round, 19. You had Phillips go in the third round last year. And so you have guys at that position. They paid Anthony Walker a little bit of money to come play. So they have players at that spot. So I get it. He's a versatile player. You'd like to have the chess pieces on defense. But is this really a position of need, particularly since Brady and myself have had an argument for the last 2 months about edge rusher? They need an edge rusher.
And here's the reality. Here's the answer, Pete. Obviously, it's not as big of a need as you think it is. And as I talked about, this is one of the better rosters in the NFL when you look at the Cleveland Browns roster.
It is.
There's not too many areas where they can ultimately improve. It's adding depth and adding in a few different pieces. I think Owusu-Koramoah is one of those different pieces. And so I like what the Browns have done so far. I think they found value. They found guys that can be immediately plug-and-play players. And as we talked about, and I don't know if you share this opinion, the next step for the Browns, it's got to be on defense. They've got to figure out a way of improving that group. And I know you want to talk about the edge rushers. The reality is they're not going to find one of those impactful edge rushers like they've got a Myles Garrett on the other side. That's just not a guy they're going to find in this draft.
You're not going to find him, but you got to take more swings at it. And they probably will in the coming rounds. This kid was probably too much value to pass up on.
Well, they pick up Tack McKinley. They got Clowney. This defense has a chance.
No sacks, Clowney.
I get it.
0 sacks, Clowney.
You know what?
Zero sacks,
none.
none.
You know, as a Browns fan, fine. I don't. You know what? Zero. Give me 0, but then Myles Garrett can have 12.
No, you want undersell him. Akeem played 17 games. You
want him having 16, 18 sacks, and you 12. Want the other guy getting about 9.
I mean, come on, Akeem.
Off the field quick. 20. Off the field quick. 3 and out. Let's go. It's going to be the other way. Yeah. Then you give 12 to Myles Garrett and give 5 to Clowney, and then let's get Coramoa in there and get a sack or 2. Let's go with this one. All right. A couple picks beforehand here. The Arizona Cardinals get Rondale Moore, the talented receiver out of Purdue. After 3 games into last season, opted out to focus on the draft. Only played in 7 games over the last 2 seasons because of injury. But as you see his tape here, this kid has big play potential. He's undersized at 5'7", Pete, but you know he's got big play potential as a slot receiver. And now he's there with Hopkins, Kyler Murray, A.J. Green in terms of veteran leadership.
You know, it's interesting. Sometimes you see a 5'7" guy and you say, oh, he's too little, he's not big enough. But this kid's compact. He's thick, he's strong, he's powerful, he can bench press. You've seen him, all the athletic skills that he has. He can his vertical leap is through the roof. He just didn't play a lot of football, and that's the concern. But this is a toy for Cliff Kingsbury and gang. I texted somebody out there, I said, you got yourself a new toy. You got to be thrilled with this. This offense has a chance to be dynamic. You saw it started clicking a little bit as we went throughout last season more and more. And I think now you add this kind of player to this offense, Brady. I mean, my gosh, with Hopkins and, you look at this with Kyler Murray,
yeah.
They got to run the ball a little bit better, but I think they're doing the right things this offseason.
And Rondale Moore could be a part of that rushing attack, right? Some fly sweeps, figuring out a way of getting him the ball on space, especially on the perimeter. What this does is it takes pressure off of DeAndre Hopkins. I think as we saw last season evolve, people really started to hone in on the fact that, the offense it's not overly complicated, I would say. And it became, I don't want to say predictable, but there was times when teams were able to slow down some of the production from Hopkins. At least I think we saw early on in that season. This takes pressure off of him. It's too much speed now. When you add in Christian Kirk, who can be a downfield threat. AJ Green, who's there, hasn't looked great the past couple of seasons, but if he can be a shell of what he was a few years ago, that's a scary addition. Andy Isabella's got some speed. So this is a scary, scary group. And meanwhile, while everyone's got their heads turned and they're all trying to cover these guys, you got Kyler Murray who can take off and run. And when he does that, when he gets, upwards of, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 rushes a game, and half those come probably on passing plays, that's when they win. That's when they're most dangerous. So I love the addition here. I love the value. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's going to be the biggest thing. But, man, they've got so much speed and so many weapons in this offense.
They've had a big-time offseason, and I think it's a big-time offseason because they know they have to make a real push this year.
Well, and think about the division they're playing in. It's as good as it gets.
The best.
It's the best in the NFL and the NFC West. Yep. So they need to have this sort of offensive firepower. Their defense with the steps they've taken, bringing in J.J. Watt, if Jones comes back healthy, obviously, the additions too on defense with Zaven Collins. This is going to be. It should be a good football team. The time is now. The time is now for the Arizona Cardinals.
It better be.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald remains unsigned. Maybe he'll come back for another season. And this would be an incredible wide receiving core because Larry Fitzgerald, a wily veteran, certainly a future Hall of Famer in terms of his play on the field, and certainly a guy that can coach up these youngsters as well. Pete Prisco, Brady Quinn join us here with some instant analysis as we cover round 2 of the NFL draft. Keep it locked here on CBS Sports HQ throughout the night. More draft analysis as we continue here to the second and third round.